Hi everybody, Grape Chic here, back talking about more wonderful diverse wines from wine regions within Occitanie. Today we'll be traveling all over from Roussillon to Languedoc to southwest France, and I'm really excited to taste through these wines with you. So the first place we're going to visit today is Roussillon. We have a rosé here, which is considered a Côtes du Roussillon AOC. This wine is a blend of Syrah, Grenache Gris, and Mourvedre. The producer here is F. Jobert. So when we're talking about Roussillon, we need to really kind of put ourselves on the map. So we're just south of the Languedoc, but just north of Spain. It's very hot and arid here. Actually, it's so hot and the soils are so poor that the vines actually produce very, very low yields. Lucky for us, low yields usually equates to a more concentrated wine. So when we take a look at this rosé, you can actually see this really beautiful medium to deep salmon color. This tells me that the grapes macerated on their skins perhaps just a bit longer than other styles like in Provence, for example. More times than not, this will tell me that the body on this wine is going to be a little bit heavier than a classic Provence style rosé. Heavier rosés usually translate to great gastronomic food wines. So let's go ahead and have a smell. So I just find these really bright red berries. Think raspberry, cranberry, strawberry. There's some watermelon here too, adding a bump of freshness. And there's also this kind of, we talk about Provence, I say herb de Provence, which is really like these herbs that grow on poor limestone soils called garrigue. So think thyme or rosemary, these kinds of fresh herbs that just kind of add a little bit of spice. But also there's some white blossom here too. That is just really, really beautiful and floral on this wine. I say rosé all year. Let's not just keep rosé for summertime. We definitely love rosé all through the winter. This would be a great house rosé to just keep on hand. Just something really great to go with food. But let's have a taste. Really beautiful acidity. And I talk about acidity all the time, but it baffles me how we can be in such a hot, arid Mediterranean climate. The winemaker did such a great job with really preserving the freshness of the wine. This would go great with a charcuterie board or a Christmas ham. This with any kind of pork would be delicious. Cured meat, cheese, goat cheese with some rosemary on there. Absolutely would be phenomenal. Dynamite rosé. It's quite a serious rosé, one that I would, definitely not just, you could drink it on its own if you wanted, but I think it definitely would complement a wide range of food. So next, we are going to travel to southwest France. This AOC is super unique and it's very hard for Americans to pronounce. So I'm going to say Brulhois. This is by Domaine Delcasse. And this wine here is a blend here. So we have most of this wine, 50% Merlot, and then it is finished off by Fair Savadou and Tannat. This AOC here flanks the left bank of the Garonne River. So we're just south of Bordeaux here. And I think that we're gonna be in for a real treat. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this a smell. So what I love about the nose of this wine is that it's wild, as in not gamey, but it has really wild berry fruits. So think blackberry, wild berries that you would find in the forest. There is this kind of smoky forest vibe to this wine that I really like. There's some black plum, and there's like this greenness here, this kind of nice bell pepper, jalapeno kind of underlying it, along with some fresh cracked pepper that I'm really finding here on the nose. But definitely this kind of sous-bois forest vibe, very wild and enticing. So I'm going to go ahead for a sip. Again, these notes really do carry through these kind of wild black fruits, black plum, a little bit of forest, smoke, cracked black pepper. I think that this would be actually a really great wine with a cassoulet. So I think that the acidity and the freshness here could really cut through some of that fatty meat and some of the thickness of the stew, but also the fruit concentration here and these wonderful kind of concentrated berry notes would definitely stand up to all of the flavors in a beautiful cassoulet. Definitely crack some fresh pepper over that, and that'll really pick out those notes within the wine, and you have yourself a meal. I also think that you could do really any other hearty stew with this wine would be really, really good. And I think that with the acidity structure here, you could age it for a little bit if you wanted to, but the tannins are quite integrated already, so I don't think that you would have to sit on this too long. It's really beautifully drinking well now. So don't worry if you don't have patience like myself, because you're in luck. So let's go ahead to our last and final wine of the day. We are in the Pays d'Oc. The Pays d'Oc is an IGP, which means that they can incorporate fruit from both the Languedoc and Roussillon. So here today we have a blend from L'Argenteuil, and l'Argenteuil, I hope I'm saying this correctly. This blend is going to be 70% Cabernet Sauvignon, 30% Merlot. So we really have Bordeaux blend here, a Bordeaux style blend. So let's go ahead and have a smell. So I'm getting a lot more red fruits here. So with the last wine, I had a lot of wild blackberry and cassis and plum. And here I'm getting more of a lush kind of red, deep red cherry and raspberry. And I'm getting a lot of warm baking spices, where the last wine I got a lot more fruit and forest characteristics. But here I'm getting these warm baking spices like vanilla and cinnamon and nutmeg. It's really quite enticing. Again, all of these wines, I've been using the word enticing a lot because it's so true. I'm going to go ahead and have a sip. So what I love about this wine is it has the acidity that I knew it would because of the Cabernet in the blend. Cabernet is naturally high in acidity, but actually I was expecting a lot more of a mouth-drying sensation. I was expecting a lot more tannin, but this wine is quite plush, and I'm really loving that. And I think a lot of that has to do with the Merlot, right? So we have 30% Merlot. Merlot brings a lot of this velvet character to a blend, this plush, lush, kind of really nice mouthfeel, and I'm getting that a lot from this wine. I'm getting that a lot from the Merlot. So that makes me happy because now it doesn't limit me so much on my food pairing choices, right? So initially I would have said, maybe a New York strip or a sirloin, but I think this kind of velvety structure really lends itself out to a lot more. We can dive more into gamier meats, a little bit more of a delicate meat like a veal. This would be even great with, I always talk about Italian cooking because that's where I grew up and how I grew up, but a veal parmesan will be really good with this. I'm a sucker for pairing French wine with Italian cuisine. It's just kind of what I do, but I think that this would be really great with that. And this is also just, again, a great fireplace wine. I know I talked about a fireplace wine in my last video, but I think that this would be that as well. You really want to pair this with food, but then after the meal is over, take the remainder of the bottle and just sit in front of the Christmas tree, sit in front of a fireplace, and just enjoy the rest of it and enjoy your time with your family and friends. Of course, socially distant in small groups, or just with one other loved one this year. But we have wine, so that's what really matters. So I just want to thank you all for joining me today. Thank you for diving into more wine AOCs in the Occitanie. And I hope that this has inspired you to really step outside your box and explore more wine regions and just get curious. I'm all about making the introduction. If you ever have any questions, make sure to just reach out to me. And don't forget to follow Sud de France, New York for more beautiful photos of Occitanie. I can't wait to get there myself, and I hope to sip with you all soon. Cheers.